Welcome to Community Chat on 103.1 KSCW. I'm Keith Breitbach, and joining me in the studio today is Lauren Erickson with Blue Star Moms, Arizona Southwest Valley. Lauren, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Give us an overview of what Blue Star Mothers is all about.
Sure. So we do have a national organization, and falling underneath that umbrella are many chapters throughout the United States. There are a couple chapters here in the Valley. AZ4 is the chapter I belong to, which covers a very large area ranging from locally here. Far north is Flagstaff, far east and south is Chandler, Phoenix, and west all the way to Buckeye, really. So we cover a large area. How I became a Blue Star mom was when my daughter Linda decided to serve her country in the United States Army. So she applied to West Point Military Academy and graduated, became an officer, and married her West Point sweetheart, Ronnie. So I have essentially two children that are serving. So I have two blue stars on my service banner representing each of those children. They are currently serving as captains in the Army. And as far as I know, they're going to make that career. So I'm very, very proud of my kids.
Well, congratulations. A West Point graduate in the family,
Yes.
Married another officer. You're in pretty deep now into the military. And I certainly understand, when it comes to not just the individual serving in the military, but it affects the entire family, doesn't it? And a mom like yourself, what does that mean then in terms of how did that open your eyes to military service and then being as involved as you are as a Blue Star mom? And give us a little bit more understanding of what the Blue Star mothers do.
Yeah. So our mission is actually laid out on our little calling card here. Our actual mission is to support our military and our veterans, as well as our fellow military moms, while continually serving our communities to promote patriotism and foster goodwill. So that's sort of our blanket mission. If you want to get into more specifics, we ensure that our active duty military and veterans know that we love them and support them. And we do that in a variety of ways. I can get into that in a moment. We also participate in ceremonies and events which honor, remember, and support our active military men and women, as well as our veterans. We support each other. We're a sisterhood, essentially. And we honor those families whose children have made the ultimate sacrifice while serving our country. A lot of people have heard of Gold Star families. That's where they have lost a child who was serving. What that actually means is that they were a Blue Star mom first. So their star was blue in color, and then after the passing of their child, that blue star became gold. So
it's a good reminder and a good distinction between the two. I think people would get those slightly confused.
Yes, exactly. So you start out as a blue star, and then you pray that your blue star never turns to gold. But if it does, Blue Star moms are here to support our Gold Star families in a variety of ways. When Linda graduated from West Point, I felt pretty lost because all of a sudden I was really in the thick of it. She was entering big Army at that point. And I really wasn't sure what my role was going to be as the mother of a child serving in the Army for our country. So I sought out the Blue Star Mom chapter in Michigan, and they were a fairly young chapter, just getting started. I learned that because I have a child who is active duty, that basically allowed me to become a member of a Blue Star Mom chapter. So I did that, and through all those seasoned veteran Blue Star moms, I learned what my role would be and how I can help. The feeling of helplessness is not a good feeling. The Blue Star Moms removes that feeling and empowers us to be able to do something to help our active duty who are deployed by sending treats for troops, helping our local veterans right here in the Valley through the Angel Tree Tag program that is largely run by the Military Order of the Purple Heart. We participate in parades. We lay wreaths during Wreaths Across America. There are so many significant things that we do. Everything military, basically. If there is a way that we can help with maybe registration at the Naval Ball, or the Air Force Ball, the Blue Star Moms are there if we're available to help out.
So it sounds like a community. There's connections. There's also tangible activities that you are engaged in.
Yeah.
What did that? Let's talk a little bit before we touch on some of these other subjects. You mentioned, you felt lost.
I
right?
did.
And what did that mean to you? So if if somebody's listening to this, maybe their son or daughter is joining the military, maybe they've been there themselves. They were, ahead of you in that regard. What does that feel? What did that feel like for you?
Yeah. So I just was wondering, is there something that I can do to help these active duty kids who essentially signed on the dotted line that they would be willing to give up their lives to defend the freedoms of this country. I don't take that lightly. I don't think any of us do. But when you have skin in the game and you have boots on the ground, literally, it changes your perspective. And so I felt the urgent need to understand my role better, of how I can better serve, because my child is serving and they are sacrificing in a variety of ways. So I wanted to understand better, how can I serve and sacrifice just a little part of myself so that I can help them? And it just led me to the Blue Star Moms and learning about all the different things that they do. So I'm on sort of my own little mission to encourage people within our community and even outside the walls of our community, maybe in another state if they're hearing this broadcast, seek out a Blue Star Mom chapter and join. If you have a child who is serving or has served and is now a veteran, you're eligible to become a member of a Blue Star Mom chapter. We want to support you. We don't want you to feel lost like I did. We are like a bond of sisterhood, like nothing else. It's very hard for people that do not have a child serving in the military to fully get and understand the lingo, what we're talking about, even boot camp and what goes on there. It's very hard to just talk to a civilian who doesn't have that military background. They just don't get it like maybe another mom who does have a child that is serving.
It certainly does change the name of the game when you've got a loved one or son or daughter on an active duty deployment somewhere overseas, especially in these war zones. Certainly it makes a big difference. 103.1 KSCW, you're listening to Community Chat this morning. In the studio, we've got Lauren Erickson. She's with Blue Star Moms here in the Southwest Valley. And when we say Blue Star Moms here in Arizona, as you mentioned earlier at the start of this, very expansive. So if somebody's in Flagstaff or Prescott or somewhere outside of Surprise, how do they get involved? How do they connect with you? And so talk to us a little bit about how many members there are and how somebody can get engaged.
Sure. So that was a great summary, actually. Yes, we just drop a pin and then draw a very wide multi-mile circle around the pin around Phoenix. We are very expansive. We encourage, it doesn't matter how far out you live, because no matter where you're living, if you fall within that mileage circle of where our chapter falls, you can serve within your own local area, still representing our chapter AZ4. So, for example, I live in Sun City West, and so I'm very active in the Surprise Sun City West area. Our president lives down in Mesa. So if there's military events going down that way, then she is serving a lot of time down in that area. So if we've got someone up in Flagstaff, I guarantee you there will be opportunities for you to serve up in Flagstaff.
Meetings, are you doing these, are they
Yes.
online? Do you do Zoom
so-
calls? How do we connect with people between here and there? and
Sure.
everywhere?
Here's the beauty of it. We do love Zoom. And people, thanks to COVID, have now learned how to use Zoom. So we do have regular monthly meetings. We were chartered in the city of Litchfield. So our Blue Star marker is in that city of Litchfield. Central Park is where our marker is. Therefore, we have our meetings in the city of Litchfield. One of the generous churches in the area has allowed us to come monthly to hold our meetings. We do offer the Zoom option for those sisters that are too far away and don't or can't make the trip in. So they can feel a part of what is going on in our chapter just as easily as a member who is physically present at our meetings.
And how would they get in touch with you, or how?
Yes.
Let's talk about the national website, bluestarmothers.org.
Yes.
And then locally, how would they connect with
Sure.
Blue Star Moms?
Yeah. So since I'm kind of the face, if you will, for Sun City West, I would be thrilled if someone would reach out to me directly, and then I can help guide them. They can reach me via my cell phone, which I'm happy to list, with 734-837-7785. If they would like to explore more about what Blue Star Moms does nationally, I highly recommend that they go to the national website, which is bluestarmothers.org. There, they can also join our chapter simply by looking up AZ4 and specifying that they would like to join that chapter. And they can easily pay their dues through that online application form.
Dues, what would that consist of, and where do those funds go then?
It's minimal. Dues are just like any other organization. I think the last I paid was like $30. That's for a 1-year membership. And that is paid to, half goes to national, half goes to our local chapter for operational expenses.
And you're involved, are you raising money locally at all? Do you take donations? And again, how does all that kind of...
The Blue Star Moms, our chapter is a 501c3 organization. So is the national chapter. But each individual chapter is also 501c3, which is absolutely wonderful because people are definitely willing to make donations directly to our chapter AZ4. We do have a P.O. Box. It's simply Blue Star Moms of the Southwest Valley, P.O. Box 1845, Litchfield Park, Arizona 85340. So if people want to mail a check, they would make that check out to the Blue Star Moms of the Southwest Valley, and they could mail that to our P.O. Box. Again, if someone would like to just call me and I can walk them through that information, I would have no issue with that. In fact, I welcome people to call me. We are actively seeking out members to join our chapter and to grow our chapter. There's much, much work to be done, and we need more help.
And we'll mention that number again if somebody's listening.
Yes.
Grab yourself a pen and paper,
Great.
and we'll mention that again here shortly
Great.
before we wind down our conversation. Lauren Erickson with Blue Star Moms. Lauren, some of the activities you're involved in locally, also, you're pretty active. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, what happens throughout the year, and how you're engaging with the community?
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things, and I'm not even sure where to pinpoint, but I will tell you that last year I participated in walking in the Surprise Memorial Day Parade and the Veterans Day Parades, and that was just spectacular. The community support is unbelievable. The City of Surprise Library hosted me, and I was a guest speaker. And I presented a slideshow explaining about Blue Star Moms, who we are, what we do, and a little bit glimpse into my own child, Linda's life as a captain in the United States Army. So I am available for guest speaking if anybody is interested in that. Also, I'm very involved with packing boxes and sending out boxes to our military who are stationed active duty overseas. So I have done Treats for Troops drive, and I just would like to take a moment to thank this community for their unbelievable generosity. It seems that any time I reach out to this community and ask for help, either baking cookies for Luke Air Force Base or doing a Treats for Troops food drive, this community steps up like I have never experienced in my lifetime. So I want to take this very public opportunity to thank all of those people who are so willing to roll up their sleeves on my behalf and on behalf of who I represent, our troops, active duty, or our veterans, and just give my thanks of appreciation because the need is great and I will continue to be asking for help.
Well, thank you to your daughter and son-in-law and for their service. Thank you for everything that you're doing and giving your time and energy to the community as well and working with Blue Star Moms. What a wonderful organization. And if you want to get involved, you can reach Lauren at 734-837-7785. And Lauren, thank you so much for joining us on Community Chat on 103.1 KSCW. It's been a pleasure having you in the studio.
Thank you. I appreciate this. Thank you.
This is Community Chat. I'm Keith Breitbach. You've been listening to 103.1 KSCW.